Hello and welcome everybody to the Kimball Hooker Show. So glad you guys could tune in. We have a very special guest today here at the Los Gatos Monte Sereno. Listen, if you guys can sing, if you guys have a special talent and you'd like to come here and show us what you got, come on down, contact us at kcat.org and we'd love to interview you. Today we have our special guest, Mr. Mike Mendoza. He's very much like I would say like an instrumentalist, saxophone player, but we're just going to dive right in and just dig into this interview. I'm so excited to have you. How you doing?
Doing well, Kimball. How are you?
Great. Tell us a little bit about how you got started and, where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from San Jose, California, born and raised, and started when I was 12 years old. And going even before that, I always, for some reason, wanted to play saxophone. Back in the third grade, remember bringing home a permission slip from my parents to do band. They had a presentation at school, elementary school, and they signed it, and I wanted to play the saxophone. But I don't know why, just felt like it was the right instrument. But they didn't put me in band because too young. So instead did choir. And then I did choir for third, fourth grade. Fifth grade, I took up the viola in the orchestra, did that fifth and sixth grade, signed up for, I didn't like it, but it was a musical instrument. I was just doing it just for fun. They cut the orchestra program in my seventh grade year. That was still my first elective. And my second elective was band. So I'm sitting in the band room and thinking, what am I going to play? I mean, I've been playing viola for 2 years, and I don't know what I'm going to play. Look to my right, and I see a poster of Yamaha saxophones, soprano, alto, tenor, and baritone sax. And I just thought, I remember in the third grade I wanted to play the saxophone. And signed up for saxophone, picked it up, couldn't play a note. It was honking and squeaking. I was this close to quitting. And then I after class one day, I said, I'm going to ask the teacher, if he can't fix it, I'm going to quit. And so I played something for the teacher. He said, no, slide your fingers down to here. And then the notes started coming out. And then that was it. I just took off from there.
Nice. My mind is still on permission slip and elective. I'm like, my mind is like, oh my gosh, you took me way back.
Way back.
Way back. That's crazy. I have to say this real quick. This is your interview, but I just want to say my first instrument was saxophone.
Oh, awesome. How long did you play for?
Not that long, because it was too big for me.
Yeah,
it was so big, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to carry this thing back and forth like that. But you had some instructions to kind of help you out, along the way. That was awesome. The adjusting of the fingers.
If I didn't go up to the teacher that day, I wouldn't be sitting here right now because I was really that close to quitting.
You said something about choir. So were you a vocalist first?
No, they put me in choir because they couldn't put me in band. So again, in the third grade, because too young. Too young. They did the recorder. A lot of kids do the recorder first, right? So we did that third grade, then choir as well. And again, I didn't like that. I wasn't too crazy. I'm still not much of a singer right now, but so I play the saxophone. I'll sing through the saxophone, but did that for 2 years, just again because they kind of placed us there because they couldn't, put me in the band. And even now, I'm a music instructor now, and a lot of the students really don't start wind instruments like saxophone until fourth, fifth grade.
Really?
Yeah. So later, it's because again, size. I mean, how old were you when you played?
Oh my goodness, I was in the third grade.
Yeah. So that's a size thing.
It was a size thing.
So same thing with even now. I have some private students that sometimes they want to play even clarinet, which isn't as big as saxophone, but they can't reach the fingers,
right?
And so I recommend them to go down to a recorder, then build up. I've had many students do that. Learn the technique of reading with the recorder, and then transfer that over to any other wind instrument.
Got it. So not only do you play, you teach as well.
Teach privately.
What age
as well.
groups?
8 to 80.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. All walks of life.
All walks of life, from kids never played, even adults that never played, all the way to 80 years old. Wow. Here's a story I have about one of my students, my older students, because again, I tell people it's never too late to learn.
Right.
Even some people say that I played before, like you played before.
Right.
I mean, just for a little bit, you could always definitely go back to it, because this student, he played in middle school, high school. And at 18, he stopped. He joined the military, fought in the Korean War, got married, had a family, created his own business. And at 65, he picked it up again. And his family didn't even know he ever played.
Oh, wow.
And so he picked it up, and we met just by coincidence at a saxophone event. I was standing behind him playing, And he turns to me, man, you're good. Do you teach? I said, yeah, I teach private lessons. I want to take lessons from you. So I helped get him back into the swing of things.
Nice.
He recorded albums. We got his alumni high school back together.
Oh, wow.
He's from SoCal, and his whole former students and friends got together, recorded several albums. One of them they even submitted for Grammy nomination.
Nice.
So he I always tell this to students that may have played or may be thinking about playing. It's never too late, because again, even if you have a big time gap in between, he picked it up and he really took off with it.
You teach, and you're a positive influence. You're an inspiration.
Try to be. Yeah, definitely.
So saxophone, I always considered to me, it's like vocals as well. It's breath. It's all inside of you.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know what I mean? And so you have to develop your ears.
Yep.
But the question I had for you, what is the most difficult thing or challenging, I'll use the word challenging thing that you see people have with learning the sax?
Control. Learning of the volume and the sound. Is it easy to make a sound, and it's easy to honk it out, but to have that effortless control and have that smooth tone, that's the most difficult part. The technique part comes, and then everything else. I would say second would be like learning how to improvise. That would be second. But just having a consistent tone, because a lot of times it's physicality. It's like you said, it's all breath. It's like how a vocalist thinks, except we're singing through an instrument, basically. So got to have that control to make it sound good, because again, otherwise you just honk, squeak, and
right.
There's nobody, not too many people are going to really like to listen to that. So it just takes that development.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just throwing stuff out here right now because I'm very curious about the saxophone, because like I said, that was my first instrument. How does circular breathing work?
That's a tough technique, and it's more of a novelty than a very useful, you'll use it all the time technique, unless you're playing, insane passages. But it just basically breathe in through the nose and then out the mouth, and there's just constantly, while you're sustaining air in your mouth, breathing in at the same time.
Oh, got it.
So just that constant motion of air. But the purposes of that, like I say, I feel it's more for novelty, because like everyone's heard of Kenny G.
Of course.
Everyone's heard about his, I think at one time he was the Guinness Book of World Records longest note holder on the saxophone. I don't know how long, but I remember he was
right. charted
down for that. But he held one note for an insane amount of time. But it's just more for novelty, just to show, and I'll tell you what, the crowd does get a kick out of it when
right.
someone's holding one note. There have been times I've taken solos and I just hold one note, especially when I'm battling someone.
Right.
Sometimes I play with the guitarist,
right.
and we're doing solo battles, and I just sit on a note right there, and the guitarist is just moving and going crazy with his solo, and I'm just playing one note, and then the crowd just like eating that all up, like,
right.
wow, look at him, he's not breathing. But yeah, it's just all technique.
That's amazing what people like.
Yeah, exactly. One note will do it.
One note will do it. If it's the right note,
that's it.
Yeah, in the right situation with the right instrumentation, band, and everything. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about some of the bands you've played with. I know Houserockers is one.
Yeah, I was with the Houserockers for 23 years. I was their original saxophonist. I was there when the band formed. Just left last year, 24. But yeah, it was a fun run. Great musicians. It was a good experience, and all the crowds, all the venues played here. Played many times here in Los Gatos. Definitely always enjoy those performances.
Yeah, we had Paul Kent on here.
Oh yeah.
Prior to you. And then Touch of Class.
Yeah, just joined Touch of Class last summer with JD Hill and the band, and I'm having a blast. Oh, very good guy, yep. Great guy, and great musicians. And it's just it's different than the Houserockers. Houserockers are rock and soul, just rock and roll. These guys and Touch of Class, and gals, if we have female vocalists, right. just well-rounded, just has everything. You got the old school music as well as new music, new pop music that's out there. So, and everything in between.
Got it. So how do you split your time up? Are you doing more teaching? Are you doing more playing like live with like bands, splitting your time up that way? Do you record? Do you do any recordings?
Let's see. So teaching's full time. That's what I call my day job. So right now I teach 5 days a week, have have over 50 students.
Nice.
So doing that full time. On the weekends, typically, and sometimes weekdays, I do performances with touch of class. I also do a solo performance I call sax sessions with Mike Mendoza. Basically, I do wineries, restaurants, even private events. The focus for 2025 has been more private events, doing like weddings and house parties, birthday parties, whatnot. And the schedule's been actually filling up.
Nice.
Just did one on Friday, a private event, and have another one coming up, few next month. So it's just it's the private events are definitely picking up with that. And this what I do in that is just pretty much jazz, pop, and R&B music.
What's your favorite genre?
I would say R&B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that because you can let loose in? It's more soulful?
Yeah, it's more soulful.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, what I do is I do pop songs like, Lionel Richie.
Okay.
And that's the thing I like about the saxophone is that it's a melodic instrument.
Right.
When I'm playing it, I'm hearing the vocals in my head and trying to express that through the saxophone.
Right.
And the listener may never have heard Easy by Lionel Richie on a sax. They heard vocalists sing it.
Right.
But not everyone's heard it on a saxophone.
Right.
So that's what my take with the whole sax sessions performance is that it's instrumental, jazz, pop, R&B melodies through the saxophone.
How do you carve a piece of that instrument out for yourself, to create something that, because it's art, to create something that is makes you memorable, that gives your identity? What do you do when you're trying to carve a piece of that out for yourself and make this because anyone can, like you say, you can blow it and then sound will come out, but that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for something to give it your own identity.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you tell somebody how to do that?
Definitely through practice. Number one, you gotta practice. You have to make the instrument part of you. You can't be you and the instrument. You and the instrument must become one. And I feel like with all these, I've been playing for over 30 years, and just by that experience, and every time I practice, I feel like I'm heightening better and better. I never feel like I'm at where I want to be, in terms of levels. So that's why another thing is I just keep striving to practice more, practice different material, just to, as musicians, we're never really where we truly want to be.
Work in progress.
Always could be better.
Yeah.
John Coltrane's legendary tenor saxophonist, practiced all the time. True master, but he never felt like he was where he wanted to be. So it's something that's just a lifelong experience, and I feel that as each year goes by, each day goes by that I practice, even one practice session, I feel better today than I did how I played yesterday. And then that whole approach helps no matter what I play, whether it's band music and touch of class, the horn lines, or if it's a solo piece that I do on my own, R&B piece, that I play. It all does the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's all same technique.
One bit of advice that you would give, someone that wants to get into this, not just play the saxophone, but play it could be a piano, it could be, what bit of advice would you give someone, say a young person, that's I want to, but I'm a little nervous, I'm a little scared. What advice would you give them? I'd
say try it. And if you feel like you truly, are enjoying it, then do it. If it becomes a chore, if it becomes, I have to go to my, lesson again, or if I have to practice now, if it's something you're not enjoying, stop.
Yeah.
Don't force yourself. But you got to have the passion, you got to have the drive and the willingness to, this is what I want to do. And that's what I incorporate with the lessons. Every lesson and every student, every one of those students that I have, everyone's at a different place, a different level, and a different agenda. And we're all working on different things, and everyone moves at a different pace.
Right.
Someone could play one particular exercise, maybe it takes them a little bit longer than another person.
Yeah.
But I can't, as an instructor, especially a private instructor, I can't move them all at the same time or force them, because then they lose the interest. So if I say you have to do 5 exercises by the end of today's lesson, or else it's a bad lesson, or you're not practicing, you're not good enough, then it defeats the purpose, and it's a discouragement. So if you want to have a love and passion for the instrument, love what you're doing, and just take your time, and eventually it'll, as long as you have that passion for it, it will develop.
Right. I want to take time right now, just kind of give yourself a little plug, and where can you be reached? reached? What's your website?
So my website is saxsessionswithmikemendoza.com. So you can find my calendar up there, and also contact information for private events. Full calendar, even touch of class dates are on that website. So saxsessionswithmikemendoza.com. Also social media: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Same at Sax Sessions with Mike Mendoza. Have every week I like to post videos of a live performance, a little snippet, like a little clip to share out there with folks, and you can see all the recent videos that I've been doing for the past few years, since I've probably post COVID is when I really started doing the Sax Sessions thing. So at Sax Sessions with Mike Mendoza.
Nice. I don't think we've had anybody on this show to talk that smooth about where they can be reached. Not one person. You the first.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
They go, oh, hold on a second, let me look through my phone.
Oh yeah,
so I gotta give you some kudos on that.
Thank you.
Claps. Yeah. What's in the future for you?
I have some things that I'm working on recording and writing my own music.
Nice.
That's been doing that a bit at home. The thing is time is hard to find time. It's hard to find time when you have over 50 students, hard to find time when the weekends are pretty booked up with performances, and also family stuff. Like to have makes time for that, and also other stuff. And there's working on that. It's a slow progress. I wish I could go faster, but I'm not going to stop lessons for that or stop performing. So definitely take my time, let it cook, because I want it to be good whenever
True.
I put out. So I don't want to just rush something just to put it out. So working on that. And also right now working on method books for writing out for lessons and for students. Instructional methods for saxophone. So that way several phases of this project is for current students, but also to share and to publish for saxophonists and clarinets. And I also teach clarinet and flute for those students to learn anywhere. My goal is to have eventually some type of like an online course, almost on demand, with these exercises that I've written and examples and audio clips, so students can learn wherever they're at. So that way, some people may not have access to an instructor nearby, so they have that ability just to get the online instruction and try it on their own, and maybe they take off and take it where they want to go, basically.
That's amazing. Right now we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Mr. Mike Mendoza and hear more about his story.
Are you ready to start a podcast, TV show, or video project? Bring your ideas to life at KCAT Public Media, your resource for video production and content strategy services. With your very own creative team, your show will reach the right demographics, build your brand, and engage a wide audience. Tell your story with us. Come visit our media playground and meet the KCAT team. Email us today at info@kcat.org. That's info@kcat.org.
Back here with the Kimball Hooker Show, sitting here with our special guest, Mr. Mike Mendoza, and we're just going to continue with our interview. I have a few questions for you myself.
Sure.
So when you're actually playing and you're listening to the other instrumentations, how do you fit your instrument in so that you're not overbearing and you're more blending in rather than standing out? That's a trick.
Yeah, it's tough to balance everything out. First off, when I play with the band, I like to have in-ear monitors. I feel like having everything specifically dialed to what I want to hear, it makes it easier. And on top of that as well, it makes it easier. It's like I don't have to blow super hard. So my goal is to play naturally, almost like I'm not using a microphone. But when I can't hear myself, like if I go, sometimes you see bands use the floor monitors, and I hear more drums and guitar than I hear my sax, then I have to push harder. But then when I push harder, then it's a whole, it doesn't derail everything, but it makes things different, makes things more difficult to play. So with the in-ear monitors, I mix everything. First off, I want to hear everything from the vocalist to the bass player, every single instrument in the band, even background vocalists. If they don't sing any melody lines, features, I still want to hear their harmonies. So I hear everybody in the mix, and then from there I layer it. Typically, I want to hear myself a little bit more. So that way I don't have to push as hard. Then after that, typically the rest of the horns, if it's a horn section, or if it's just me and the band, typically like the keyboards, and then also drum, the kick, hi-hat, snare, Then if it's other vocalists, a little bit layered below that, so I could hear everything. So in the end, when I'm playing, I could play effortlessly without having to push, too hard.
Not so hard.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you're actually playing, I have a question for you. So when you're playing, the lead line, the melody, do you write your charts out? But with like, I guess it depends on the song too, if it's jazz or if it's an R&B song or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, do you prefer like to have your charts written out, or do you play off the cuff, like from how you feel?
A little bit of both. But like when I do with the sax sessions, they're all, standard melodies, from Nora Jones, just Earth, Wind and Fire, songs, just any of their melodies. I have the melody line. If there's room for a solo somewhere in that performance track, and then I'll throw, that's when I get to cut loose and improvise.
Right.
One of my favorites is Bobby Caldwell's "What You Won't Do for Love."
Oh my
And
goodness.
playing the melody line on the sax and soloing on that as well. Just a very soulful song. And just try to, like I said earlier, I just hear the vocal lines in my head while I'm playing, and just try to make the saxophone sound like a vocalist.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You mentioned some great songs. Those are some great songs.
Oh, classics.
Yeah, the classic songs. The crowd gets a kick out of that.
Every time.
Every time.
A private event I just played Friday evening. Every song was coming up, and I was even going into jazz, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and throwing those in there, and every song they just go, wow, and then it's just I got into it, and they really ate it all up. So the jazz, pop, R&B mix, it's just it's a good mix that I feel like everyone knows these songs.
Right.
Everyone knows Frank
Classic.
Sinatra.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Earth, Wind and Fire.
Right.
And everyone knows Lionel Richie.
Right.
So you got these artists that just almost I want to call standards in our American music. So just I like to incorporate all of that. So it's familiarity for the audience and for the music that they hear.
On break, I had mentioned Eric Darius. And you said you were
Eric, I've seen him a few times, met him. Awesome, really down-to-earth guy. Saw him a few years ago at the Blue Note up in Napa. Great show. One of my favorite saxophonists.
Right, nice.
And I heard you were his drummer.
I was his
musical
drummer.
director.
That's
That's awesome.
Was. I was his
Wow.
drummer. I sure was his music director right there in Lodi, California.
Lodi. Wow.
Did a show out there. Oh my God, I was off the hook. I loved it. Had so much fun. Great instrumentation. That guy is amazing. He's amazing.
Oh yeah. Phenomenal. Great. And did he do his Air Darius?
Yes.
Signature.
He's Air Darius.
Air Darius.
He flies. He soars through the air.
Yep.
Amazing.
That's it.
Yeah.
And maybe let's describe what that Air Darius is. So for those that don't know Eric Darius, what he likes to do, like at the end of a song, he'll grab his saxophone and like Michael Jordan has his signature, arm up like he's slam dunking. Well, Eric Darius will jump up literally like this. I won't replicate it because I can't, but he'll jump up like that and holding his sax out like he's gonna slam dunk the sax and come down to end the song, right? Yeah. So,
you know what's so funny about that? So when I saw pictures of him doing that, this was prior to me meeting him and performing with him. I was like, wow, I wonder how they edited that. Like how did they? No,
it's not edited.
No, he did it during the show.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And then I was like, oh wow, he really does that.
He does that. Yep. Still to this day, he didn't do it at the Blue Note because that's a small stage. But I bet if it was a little bit bigger, we saw him also. Where was it with Dave Koz out at Hollywood Bowl?
Yeah, he was
a few years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he did it out there.
Yeah.
He had plenty of room on the Hollywood Bowl.
Now that's a different type of signature.
Yeah.
It's not a sound signature, but it's he owns that. I've never seen I've never seen anybody else do that.
Nobody else. No.
And then playing on those cruise ships like he does.
Oh yeah. He's all over the place and all over the smooth jazz festivals all over the world
for sure.
And so I definitely follow him on social media and see where he's performing at, and try to, whenever he's in town, try to definitely check him out as long as I have some free time to do that.
Absolutely. So you say you have some future projects that you're working on right now?
Yeah, just trying to again record some music at on my own, as trying to find free time to do that. More of like the smooth jazz type, R&B type. So trying to work on that little by little, and definitely keep tabs on my website, because once it's out, I'm definitely going to put it out there on my website and all other platforms that I can to just definitely distribute it. So check out my website, Sax Sessions with Mike Mendoza, and stay tuned with that, because once it's out, I definitely want to share that with with everyone, and I can music that I want make people feel good. There's a lot going on in the world these days, so music is an escape. And
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
very therapeutic for people. And even I had a person that Friday evening performance I did a few days ago. She said, I had a horrible day today. And I said, I'm sorry to hear that, but you know what? Your music picked me up. All the songs you played, man, really changed my day, turned my day all around. I said, I'm glad it did. That's what I'm here for. To just take people's minds, and I think as musicians, I think that's our goal too. Take people just away from the day-to-day thing,
True. Different place,
no matter what they're dealing with. But a whole different place.
Yeah, I always thank people for coming out whenever I perform.
Yeah,
always,
likewise,
because
always.
I'm like, you know what? You didn't have to be here.
Exactly.
They're there. It's not an accident. They paid. They showed up. They made time for you. They drove to come see you.
Exactly.
That speaks volumes, right? You can't buy that.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
So definitely don't take it for granted. The people, they want that. They're there to see the music, hear the music, and enjoy the music.
True. Who books you?
I book myself. So I'm not only the musician but promoter. So and I'm in contact with the venues and clients for private events.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever tried like doing I guess like a trio?
I want to, but I just, like I've said, time. I mean, I definitely want to expand off to, do, but once I get the stuff written for the originals that I'm working on, I want to definitely, pull in, piano, bass, drums, maybe a small group, and guitar, and try to start performing that, different venues. That's definitely the goal at some point. But right now, with everything else that I have, on this calendar and schedule, it's just, pretty much Touch of Class is the band that I'm working with, and then also the solo stuff. But at some point, the solo stuff, I'd like to change that over to my own, type group with originals, mixing maybe some of the stuff I do in the sax sessions with the jazz, pop, R&B, and infusing that into it as well. So it's not only originals, but you're also hearing, these, great R&B, pop, jazz songs as well.
Got it. What are some of the other instruments that you play?
I also play flute and clarinet as well.
And sax is your favorite?
Sax is the one I actually started on. The clarinet I picked up in high school. They needed clarinets in the pit orchestra musical at my high school, and it ended up being, I did it for 2 years, and the 2 years that I did do it, the musical won, statewide awards.
Nice.
I did City of Angels and then Into the Woods. Those were the two musicals that they needed players for. Yeah. And for me, it was trial by fire. It was like, okay, here's the clarinets, and here's the music book. Learn it and we'll see you at rehearsal. So I've never played clarinet, and it's not like saxophone. So it's not you could pick up the sax and play clarinet. The fingerings are the same, and no, it's completely different.
It's totally different.
Totally different.
Oh, wow.
So not only did I have to learn the instrument, I had to learn the music to the show as well. But I'm very thankful for that, because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to help these clarinet students that I have taken on today.
Right.
So it taught me clarinet, and I don't play it and out in a group. I could if I want to, get time. Not only if there's more time to do these things.
Time.
But, exactly. Not enough of it.
Not enough
to squeeze everything in. But I help the students out. I always have my clarinet there with the students and play along with the students if there's something they need help with. But that's how I picked up the clarinet. And flute I did a little bit after that, probably towards the end of high school, maybe even after, maybe part of college, and just dabbled with it a little bit, and that's actually very similar fingerings to saxophone.
Oh, got it.
But blowing into that, totally different. Yes, no reeds, so you just have to blow into a little hole at the top, and if you have to blow a certain way, because if you blow the wrong way, you're not going to get any notes out. So
wow.
So, and there were times where I was trying to play and I felt lightheaded, like I was going to pass out. So I tell my flute students today, you got to make sure you're blowing the right way, because if not, you're going to end up on the floor and have to call your parents to come pick you up because you pass out. Yeah. So it's just a whole different technique. But the fingerings, though, very similar to saxophone.
What's the best way to teach someone how to read?
What I tend to do is, method books. The method books are the core, I feel, for saxophone.
Are there any special method books that you could name?
There are some, like I use Standard of Excellence with my students, and also the Rubink method. Those are both also quite old. The Rubink method's almost 100 years old.
Oh my goodness.
That's why I'm writing my own material right now, because both of those books, after teaching for over 20 years, I see certain transitions and certain fingerings that give students a hard time, and the books don't cover it enough. So that's why I started a little bit end of last year writing the book. I'm like, I need to do something for my students, because there's these little exercises they're getting stuck on, and they need extra help on certain notes, and it's always the same one, always the same number, always same. Every student gets just stuck on that one because there's not enough prep before that in the method book. So that's why I'm currently working on method books for saxophone. Also going to do flute and clarinet with, again, those little intricacies. That way it helps this, full-on exercises that help the student, flow with the development of learning how to read the notes and the transitions and rhythms and all that. But I start there, and then I also tell students, never write in the letter names. Because, I sometimes students that have played before, and then they come to me, they write an A, B, C, D, F, G above the letters, above the notes. Right. And I tell them that's the worst thing to do, because one time a student had 3 pages of music and had to write every single letter name on top of the note. So the other technique, I tell students, just finger the note and just call it out loud, and it's just G, A, B, whatever it is. And then the more they do that for every exercise, they remember the note name and the fingering.
Wow. Something to think about.
Yeah,
something to think about. I just thought about that. Now, when you say clarinet and you say saxophone, are the notations the same?
Well, on the music part, it would be the same, treble clef. Yes, treble clef. Yeah. Right. So they're both treble clef. They're both different keys. Well, tenor sax actually the same key as the clarinet. Clarinet's in the key of B flat. Tenor sax is B flat. Okay. Alto sax, like what Eric Darius plays, E flat. So they have a whole different key. So you'd either have to have someone transpose the parts, or you transpose the parts on your own. One time I had to do a performance. It was with the Houserockers. Right. Our drummer was hitting the cymbal, and he hit it a little bit too hard. This was on the stand. The cymbal knocked over the saxophone on the ground, and I looked at it, and I was playing alto at the time. It's our second song of the whole performance.
Oh wow, early.
So I see it go down, I see a slight dent, and I said, I can't play that horn, because I don't know how, if I don't want to pick it up and it starts honking, I don't know what damage is done to it. So I'm like, okay, pack it up, and I transposed the rest of the show on alto sax by sight. So from the B flat parts to E flat alto sax.
Man, you gotta be good to do that. That's last
luckily
minute
I had
too.
practice. Yeah, last minute, the entire show. Luckily I had practice and got used to that technique, but definitely was a difficult one. Definitely got things in my mind rolling the whole time while I was trying to get that locked in.
Speaking of that, that was a tragic little situation you had. Give me some of your best performances and some of your worst performances.
Best performances. There's a lot. Nothing that just really pops out. The performances, okay, I'll give you one that just very memorable that I just did last year. San Francisco Giants asked me to do the national anthem for them for their Fan Appreciation Day, last game of the season. And so they signed me. They called me in January last year for that, and did that in September. Like 1 or 2 weeks before, they said, "Oh, by the way, we're having a flyover." And I'm like, what? They said, we want to know, how long is your anthem performance? So I was like, okay, well, I timed it out, from recordings that I've done before. And it's okay. I said, 1:30. I was saying, okay. And they said, okay, because we need to know when the planes will fly overhead. We want the end, like your last note, and the planes to fly over. It has to be in perfect sync, as close to perfection as we can get it. But we can't slow them down. So we need you to either hold a note out or something, just to make sure everything locks in. So we did sound check, and during sound check, sound check, it's like, a little bit more loose. It's not how for me, it's not how I'm going to play it. So I did it, and they said, it's too short. We need it longer. I said, okay, well, I was just, just running it through just casually, but I'll play it one more time how they want it. So I did it a second time. It was true to 1:30. I think the first time was like 1:26, 1 minute and 26 seconds. So it was like 4 seconds short. So they were worried that it wasn't going to be long enough. So I held out the notes longer like I normally would, and said, oh, that was perfect. And so we did it on the field, And then the flyover happened, and they came to me afterwards and said it was absolutely perfect.
Nice.
Your last note hit, the planes flew over. It was just perfection. So that was probably, I would say, the most memorable that I've done so far. Because I mean, a flyover, just like I've done the anthem before many times for various sports teams, but never with a flyover.
That was with the flyover.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I like that, man. That's amazing. But they trusted you to do it, first of all. You know.
And, exactly.
And then not only that, you were able to tailor it to their specifications of time.
Yeah, exactly. You know. So, because again, those, like they said, those planes can't slow down. They have, once they go, they're in. And so it's up to the musician to kind of make that happen, tailor to make it special. Because the crowd is listening. You know, so some people, you know, they're like, yeah, it's spot on, and they tell me other experience. Yeah, I heard this other guy do it, and the flyover, and his note ended, and then the planes came like 5 seconds later. Yeah. So they're everyone's paying attention. You may not think they are, but they're paying attention.
They are. Yeah, absolutely. And then you told us about the one where the horn.
The horn fell off the stand, from the cymbal. Yeah.
Are there any type of situations like that have happened?
That was the first and only. Knock on wood.
Right. So many years of playing, right?
So hopefully no more of that, because again, when the horn goes down, and especially if you have an entire show to do, and seeing that there could be damage to it, you can't just pick it up and then think it's going to play like it's supposed to play.
True.
Think about it like being in a car accident. You know, if you get in a car accident, you can't just drive off and let me see if this is gonna work. You got to get it towed away if it's a bad one. So I saw some dent, and I just saw that dent, and I said, I don't know how this is gonna play. I don't know, something else that I visually can't test. And we're in the middle of a show, so there's no breaks in this show.
You carry more than one sax on the stage.
Well, I do alto tenor, so luckily I do alto tenor. Well, if I just did the one, nothing would have happened, because it would have just knocked over the sax stand. But I switched between alto and tenor sax, so I don't bring backups. That's the thing. It's too heavy and too much to carry to bring a backup. But luckily I had the alto in my hand, and I was able to transpose the rest of the parts.
Yeah. You know, I have to say one thing. The one thing I've gotten from this interview is I love your inspiration, and you love what you do. Your passion, I can feel it. I can feel your students being happy. That's a big thing.
That's what I try to do.
Biggest takeaway. Yeah. I feel it.
That's it. That's to me the most important. They gotta. I mean, they have. I want them to like what they do, playing that instrument. I don't force it on them, but it's all up to them. All aspects of playing, definitely up to the student, and they enjoy it, and they come in time and time again. And so, last year I just had a student who started from middle school all the way to high school, and sent her off to Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Nice.
And she got a scholarship.
Nice.
So to go to Berklee School of Music, and she came back over the summer. Yeah. It was so. When she told me that she got into Berklee, I almost started crying, because it was just like that's the school. For those that don't know, that's like the school of music that that a lot of people strive for, especially musicians. It's all just music, mostly for music, but it's the school to go to for music out in Boston.
Mike, listen, we're gonna wrap it up right now. Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me.
Can you do us one last favor?
Yes.
Where's your website where you can be reached?
Sure. My website, you can check it out at Sax Sessions with Mike Mendoza. Again, saxsessionswithmikemendoza.com. And follow me on social media at Sax Sessions with Mike Mendoza. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can check out my videos, and my website at www.saxsessionswithmikemendoza.com. You can check out my calendar, where I'll be at. Also, information on performances as well. Check it out, and hope to see you all at a show sometime soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on KCAT Kimball Hooker Show here in Montessorino, Los Gatos, with my very special guest, Mr. Mike Mendoza, world-renowned saxophonist, instrumentalist. Until next time, we'll see you.
You just heard the Kimball Hooker Show here on KCAT Radio. Explore all our KCAT original programming at kcat.org/radio.